All right, hey, all you not normals, we've got an awesome presentation here for you today. We've got Walker Richardson, we've got Ben Richardson, and we're going to cover a super important topic about how to get your ideas funded or your business funded. And if you're young and entrepreneurial and you're driven, this is going to come up way more than one time. So this is an important topic and one that everybody struggles with the first time around, even the second or third. So let's get into this. Walker has a project that he's working on, and
Yeah.
he's coming to a point now that you're in the middle of a development and you might feel you need some capital to kind of take it to the next level. Is that what you're thinking? Is that how you're feeling?
That is what I need. Exactly. Yep.
Okay. So let's just discuss a couple ideas from your perspective. What has come to mind for you as potentials? Because I'm sure the viewer would have the same questions or ideas. And then we can talk about perhaps some other ones that you haven't thought of and maybe debate some of them back and forth.
Some of the ideas were like pre-selling the service. So collect a check and then use that to develop it. Um, the other ideas were like just build it bare bones as cheap as I can, fund it myself, and then sell that to consumers and then slowly get it better as I have more money.
Okay.
Um, the other option, like equity, is on the table, sell that. Bring on a partner, which is kind of the same two sides of the same coin.
Uh-huh.
Um, yeah, that's kind of just been ideas that I've floated around in my head.
All right. I think that's all super good ideas. The one you didn't talk about, which some people do later with other types of investments, is debt, which is I wouldn't
Yeah.
recommend it, but it is another option that some people pursue at times. So you talked about doing pre-selling your service. So someone's going to pay for it before you have it developed. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, yeah.
And then also maybe forming the company and getting an investor and
Mhm.
they buy into the company for equity. So you have some money to work with to develop your idea and then you're going to sell it.
Yeah.
And then one is maybe get some sort of business loan from a bank or an investor.
Yeah.
Was there a fourth that you didn't talk about or that you did that I missed?
No, that was it.
Okay. So all those are valid and can be totally. Um, I think one that is frequently overlooked is most people think of I got a product, I got a service, and they think of like Shark Tank scenario where they want to go and get some investors for the company so they can buy more inventory or hire more people or run ads or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And the thing that I don't love about that is that they're selling their company instead of their product.
Okay, elaborate on that. How would they sell their product to raise money?
No, they're selling their company in the Shark Tank scenario.
How would you do it?
Well, it's valid. And I've done it where you get an investor to, yeah, who shares your dream and your vision, and they give you money.
I guess I'm wondering like what's wrong with that? Because to me that seems like that's how you do it.
There's nothing wrong with it, but there's
Like,
trade-offs.
you just said that was the problem.
What many people don't realize that they're doing is they're selling their company instead of selling their product.
Okay.
So
Oh, okay. I think
all
I
of the
follow.
effort that they spend preparing and working on it and negotiating and traveling, and the end result, they're selling their part of their company.
So you're saying they're looking at it the wrong way. Or they're
It's
not
just
adapting their
really
sales
important.
process.
It's just really important to know what you're doing.
Okay.
And how many times can you do that? Once,
Once.
and then it's gone. So there's nothing wrong with it, but you got to realize what you're doing, I would say.
Okay.
Okay. Or you sell the product to raise the money. But if you don't have the product, that's hard, right? That's the catch 22 or the conundrum that you're in.
That is the catch 22 here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Which is
you're talking about pre-selling it. And what kinds of things could you pre-sell? Let's talk about that. Let's give some examples of some products that you could pre-sell. Well,
in other industries.
yours or other industries, yeah, they just sort of kind of like put some color on this.
You could pre-sell like a marketing stunt.
That's cool.
Uh,
Yeah. So an example would be what? Like, gonna pre-sell this stunt, gonna paint this bus red and paint this bus with a logo and drive it off a cliff.
yeah. What can't, well, actually, that's pretty good. But what came to mind is like when Shackleton was raising funds for his adventure to the Arctic, he pre-sold books about it to fund the building of the ship, about the adventure.
And he sold the books when he got back.
Yeah. And he hadn't written them yet.
Okay, that is a great idea.
Yeah. So like that's what I was thinking.
Okay, so
He
really,
also pre-sold like lectures and stuff on the same topic. And the agreement was that they would pay for the adventure and he'd come back and speak at their events and stuff on what happened.
that's brilliant. I love that so much. Okay, so Shackleton's pre-selling books and lectures to fund his expedition to the Arctic.
Hmm.
Okay, so there's lots of lessons there that we can look at. People pre-sell things all the time on different platforms like Kickstarter.
Yeah.
Uh, there's others that here's my project, here's where I'm at, here's how much money I need to make the product. If you fund it, and if you get enough money so that it's actually enough to do the project, then you will get a
Hmm.
certain price on it after, or 2 for 1, or plus a t-shirt or some bonus that makes the pre-order worth it.
Hmm.
And that works. So I've done that twice as well. Um,
Kickstarters.
yeah, they're a lot of
Is
work.
it is it true with the Kickstarter that you raise the money and then they kind of it's all pledged dollars until the Kickstarter ends and then that's when you collect the funds?
Correct. And if you don't make your goal, I think depends on the specific arrangement, then the money isn't
Isn't
accounted.
collected?
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, that's another option. But that's pretty good. And that's kind of a platform that gives some visibility and some distribution to the ideas, plus some credibility that you might actually do what you're going to say that you say you're going to do. So just running off with money.
Mhm.
Um, but you could also pre-sell, like if it's a digital item, just easier. You can do a marketing campaign about what you're working on and pre-sell the thing and deliver it, make it as you deliver it. That can work. That's done all the time.
So sell it as though it's already done and then just deliver it.
You don't not misleading about it, but yeah, you sell it as though it's done, and you're gonna
Yeah.
teach it to this cohort of people one on one and develop it as you go and based on their feedback. That's another way.
Okay.
So that's kind of good because they get the one on one instead of just video delivery.
You're talking about coaching?
Coaching, yeah, or like
Oh,
skill development, yeah. Mhm.
yeah, okay.
Yeah. Okay, but if you need to make a product and you need some money, you can you can pre-sell it to some of your customers if you have some, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
But if you don't, you could you could you could get the customers to pay for the development of it, and it's totally upfront that they're helping you develop this, and in exchange,
Yeah.
they get a certain use of it, if it's software, for example,
Mhm.
and then maybe over time there's some sort of maintenance fee along the way.
Yeah.
So hypothetically, how much are you wanting to raise to take your project to the next stage?
My number's kind of been 100,000.
Okay. Hundred
Yeah.
thousand is like the ultimate, right?
That would be like really, yeah, I could build it all out.
Okay. What would be, how much would you need for a good but minimum viable product that could, that the company would be happy to use for version one? I know you don't know totally, but like you might have some.
Yeah, I think 10,000 would be like really bare bones.
Okay. All right. So
Yeah.
10,000. So for a company, if they have a lot of employees and they like the idea of the how much money or time you're going to save them with this software idea,
Mhm.
seems like they might be willing to take a little risk on you. Yeah, go develop that as long as we get the right to use it, or
Mhm.
maybe a discount or free minus maintenance fees. I could see someone doing that. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's not a crazy ask for some of these people.
And the cool thing about that is your customer is helping you develop the thing that they want to use. So they're going to tell you what they want to use, what they want in it.
Mhm. In that particular scenario, what is the like they they have all the everything they know what they want and they have the money.
Mm-hmm.
Why wouldn't they just do it themselves?
I think,
And now they have the idea.
yeah, I think that's a good question because they probably could, but lots of times companies can't do everything that they want to do anyway.
Yeah.
So they're kind of limited with like, I already have 5 initiatives that I want to get to that I can't. And this is number 6, and it's not a big
Mhm.
one. So for me, it's kind of, I would think it's like I'm kind of hiring this guy for relatively cheap to give me a
Yeah.
custom solution that might save me. Let's just say it saves them or makes them 500,000 or $1 million that year once it's implemented.
Yeah.
Hmm. It is a risk, maybe though, of someone running with your idea.
Maybe it's just one that I should take, but yeah.
There's ways to, documents you can sign, non-disclosures or non-compete, non-circumvent agreements, but they're only as strong as someone's word, kind of. And if they go around it,
Yeah.
are you really going to sue them? Or
Probably not.
probably not. But it is at least establishing the expectations that you have a non-disclosure agreement or non-compete or something like that. And this is your intellectual property that you're sharing with them.
Yeah.
So there are those things that we could consider.
Okay.
Um, yeah. So that one's that one's kind of cool. Customer funded development, especially if you know who the customers are.
Yeah, have a couple. Well, one particular one.
Yeah. Do you have a sense if they'd be open to that? You haven't gone that far yet in the discussions, right? Have you?
Not deep into those discussions, but yeah, they've they've been open to that idea.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So
We
that's
haven't talked about any numbers. We haven't talked about any agreements of like future plans. Just the other stuff. It could be interesting, an avenue to explore. It's kind of how where it went.
so the cool thing about that idea in particular is it's super, the agreement's narrow. Like you're gonna
Mhm.
pay me to develop this custom solution for you,
Yeah.
and you get to use it at some maybe drastic discount. I
Mhm.
also get to use it for other people, and you're not buying my company. You're just funding the development of this solution for you.
Yeah.
And I like that a lot.
I do too. Yeah.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, if you can live cheaply and you can crank out this solution for them, you might have a solution paid for by someone else and you still have all of your company and you have a customer that you can work with and add to it over
Hmm.
time, expand.
Yeah.
That's a that's a good idea.
I do like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only downside, I guess, is that you're risking the idea of being taken. you're weighing the pros and cons. That's the con. Pros are what we just talked about.
Mm-hmm.
No cash up front and potential customer and inside information on the business.
Yeah. I think with the agreements though, that's your best chance of kind of protecting your ideas and your intellectual property. And the other is like, well, most companies they're not going to do that.
Yeah.
Maybe if it was a $10 million idea, they might be tempted to like, okay, let's put some guys onto this. Let's copy Walker's idea and let's do it ourselves.
Mhm.
But for a 10,000 or 20 or 50 or $100,000 a year opportunity, maybe that's your safety. So it's not worth the risk
Yeah.
and the manpower to do that, you know?
Yeah. That's what the guy said I was talking to. He
What
was
is it?
like, um, this is a great thing. I'd love to make this for myself, but I just can't, I don't have time for that.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
So
He's
you've
like,
already
I'm
heard
already
all that.
so,
I don't know why we're talking. You've already heard all this.
well, it's just good to lay it all out so I can think through it now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the variables of that customer funded acquisition or development are how much do you need to develop it?
Which I need to cement better.
Yeah. And then I would definitely go for just version 1, not for version 10, because you're going to learn a
Yeah.
lot and make it as simple as possible. And then are there maintenance contracts or is it zero fees for 12 months and then they pay a little bit or that's where you negotiate with them a little bit, right? There's like that ongoing
Yeah.
support.
I mean, it could even be like zero fees for the first year, and I just go take it to other people.
Mm-hmm.
They fund the development, other people are the customers for the first year.
Yeah, that would not be a strong negotiating point, but yeah. Hey, we fund this, so I can take it to other people.
Well, they're getting it too for free,
Yeah, that's true.
but I guess you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So that's good. And then if you were to pursue the equity route, then you have this whole discussion about how much is your company worth.
Mhm.
And it hasn't made a dollar yet, right?
No, yeah.
This project. So then someone say, well, whatever amount I give you, I should own the whole company. And you're going to be offended by that because you're like, are you kidding me? Like, look at the potential here. I'm going to do all this and this and this. And this is an arbitrary discussion about the value of your business.
Yeah.
And it's just no one probably feels like they win. It's just a distraction. And it's tough, kind of early like that.
Yeah. The upside that route though would be that I have a partner, which
That okay, that's a
could be a
valid
downside, but also I don't I have a lot
right.
of learning to do.
That could be a really big help. So yeah, I definitely didn't talk about that. So that could be a really good op if that's what you want, and you actually do want the partner to kind of be active and be supportive.
Hmm.
That's a great way to do it. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. That's yeah, I mean that's a valuable asset.
Right. So the company that helps fund this, if they did a instead of doing the customer funded development, you did the kind of equity arrangement. You'd have an equity partner who would maybe help you take it to other places.
Who now has a vested interest in the company's success.
Mm-hmm. How many how many customers do you think how many people do you think this company kind of touches and trains per year? Do you know?
I would guess it's shy of 1,000.
Okay.
It's probably like 800.
Okay. All right. So those are a couple of the ideas. And I guess over the next week or two, maybe you might get into it, right?
Hmm.
And then debt, I don't even like to mention it, but you have that. Like you get the downside is the upside is you get the money right away. Downside is
Mhm.
you have to pay it back, and you don't know if you can yet. I mean, fully. And depending on the debt you take on, it could be super expensive and a burden.
It could. It could also be really great because I maintain full control and ownership. I already know I have a customer.
Well, not to put down on that, but you think you have a customer.
I already know I have interest. I can see that.
Okay, yeah.
And yeah, I mean, that idea of cash flows, they could be, I have a lot more leverage to negotiate pricing and stuff too. If I came back 3 months with a finished product, it gives me way more leverage.
Then the equity discussion.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or even the pre-sale conversation. That would give me the most leverage, I think,
Why do you think that? How does
because
that
I
give
could
you more
take it to a
leverage?
different company. And because now I have something that's like an asset, valuable,
The software solution?
and implementable. Yeah.
Yeah. But you're taking the risk before you have the customer. And in the customer funded development, you have the customer before you take the risk.
Mhm.
It's a big difference as far as like how you sleep at night.
True.
So those are three ways to fund an idea or project. Um, get your customer to pay for it in advance. Nice. Customer pay for it.
Yeah.
Raise some money through equity where you're selling part of your company as shares of your company for money so you can develop this thing,
Yeah.
or take on debt. And that's definitely not my favorite, especially without revenue ahead of time. But those are three ways to do it.
Mhm.
So, okay, awesome.
So
Was that
given those pros and cons, which one sounds the most interesting to you?
to me?
Yeah.
Well, the pros that I would weigh the heaviest, or like the elements I'd weigh the heaviest, are if you can reduce your risk to, let's just say, zero or close to zero, then that means that everything you do is upside.
Yeah.
That's really powerful.
Yeah, that's
That
true.
means you can't lose.
Yeah.
But if you take your risk up, the only thing you can do is, well, not the only thing, but you could
If
definitely.
you go in with no risk, the rock bottom downside is that you just don't go anywhere. You stay the same. So you can't
Yeah,
lose
and
technically. And
but
you
you
take
have
on the debt, you're rock. Well, in that scenario, you also can't lose. You're screwed if you down.
the middle ground of equities pretty good too.
Yeah.
But I really like the idea of, if you, anything you do in life, if you can minimize or eliminate the downside, then all you have is upside.
Mhm.
That's an enormous advantage psychologically and emotionally and financially too.
So okay, I like that. The biggest obstacle I see to getting that to be a reality is the negotiating that deal. Is that an accurate understanding?
Yeah, that's it.
So what would be some key negotiating points that could bring that to to
Well,
get
the
that
first,
on paper.
the most important is, what problem are you solving for them? And are
Yeah.
you guys agreed that that's the problem they want solved?
Okay.
Because now you're talking about the same thing. You might be thinking it's like convenience, but they might be thinking it's cost savings and different. They're placing different values on those two things.
Hmm.
So you make sure you agree on the same. What problem are they solving with this?
Okay.
Short detour on a conversation here, but there's a well-known case study of Pampers. We talked to one of the senior vice presidents of Procter and Gamble one time, and he was sharing the story of when they were trying to launch Pampers in the 70s, the disposable diapers, and they kept talking about the convenience and how convenient it is for moms because before then it was cloth diapers that you washed by hand.
That's brutal.
Think about that.
Yeah.
So they kept pitching convenience, but in the 70s, that was not the problem that the moms were trying to solve.
What was the problem?
It was like diaper rash and like they wanted their kids' skin to be healthy. So they really needed to sell like dryness and uh, health of the baby's bottom.
Hmm.
So once they switched to that messaging, then it worked. But they had to try like 2 or 3 times launching Pampers and they failed. And it was because they were selling the wrong benefit.
That's a great story.
Yeah. Uh, Even though that benefit is still there, the one that people were looking for was different.
Is the best way to get to that just trial and error?
Yeah, you got to test it. If you're
Yeah.
if you're in the marketplace and like digital marketing, you put out a bunch of messages and you see which ones are actually working.
Yeah.
You don't want to. I mean, each time Procter and Gamble launches a product, they put like I don't know how many hundreds of millions into it, and if they fail, that's a major loss. But I think
Yeah.
that's why they put so much into it, so that they're right. And every
Hmm.
time they want to be the category uh, king for sure. That's their position, and they want to make sure they own it when they launch. So back to you. I think you want to make sure you understand what problem that they want solved,
Yeah.
or what problem do they think this is solving for them.
For me, oh, if we're talking specifics, it's rep retention, season.
That's your thought, or is that their words?
Cool.
Okay. So now you know you can you can assign some value to that. How much would retaining one more rep be worth to them? Or
On
retaining,
average, 30,000 a year.
that's how much they pay them.
Yeah, that's true. I don't actually know how much they get out of
So
that.
yeah, we should find out generally how much that rep is going to make them.
Yeah.
And then you can start putting some numbers to it. So if you can retain 10 reps and they're well trained, is that worth $1 million to them? 5 million? 100,000?
Uh, I gotta figure it out.
Yeah. So we're talking about negotiations. So if you want to make sure you're talking about the same, you're trying to solve, you understand what problem that they want solved.
Mhm.
And then you can assign some value to it. So you can always talk about how much value this is going to create for them.
Yeah.
So if
Is the best angle to be talking numbers?
I would say
It,
it's the best angles to talk solving problems.
yeah.
If their
Like I
problem
said,
is retention of employees, this is going to help you retain 10% more people or 20% more people over 6 months.
yeah.
And if you do retain them, how much is that going to be worth to your company? And all the things that go with it, like how many people do you have to put on the team to retain 100 more people or recruit 100 more people? Yeah. So when you're negotiating, try to tie this back up.
Mhm.
You want to be talking about the difference in value between what they get and what they pay.
Yeah.
That's the conversation,
Mhm.
not I need $10,000.
Yeah.
No
That's
one,
a great point.
no one wants to give you 10,000, right?
Yeah, they'd be
But
getting hundreds of thousands by.
I have this product or service that I think can save you or make you whatever, make you $1 million a year, and it will only cost $10,000, and I'm going to take care of everything. That's a really good value proposition versus, hey, will you give me $10,000? I want to try this thing out and see if it works.
Yeah, it's a lot weaker.
Yeah. So as long as you're talking about the same, you're solving the problem that they want solved and they want to pay for it, you gotta find out that gap between how much it's worth to them and how much they're paying you. And the bigger the
Yeah.
gap and the faster you can give it to them, the better.
Okay. And then logistically, because like I'm thinking about when I do a wholesale deal and you get a private money lender and they send the money every time they send it to title, they don't send it to you. So when you're raising money for a business, does it just go to the business account?
Oh, yeah. So in this case, they're pre-buying the product. So
Yeah.
they would write you a check to your business account,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
and that would just be sales to you and an expense to
Mhm.
them.
Okay. Makes sense.
Pretty simple. They could do it with a credit card, they could do it with a check, and they
Yeah.
just write it to you, and then you have like just a simple letter of it could be just a purchase agreement. Well, it's a purchase order. I'm going to give you $10,000, and I would like um, first use of this software, and that's your
Yeah.
agreement.
Okay. And then is that something I would just write up or find models for?
It can be as
Purchase
simple as
agreement?
like 2 bullet points. This is what you're paying, this is what you're getting, this is
Really?
when. Yeah, it doesn't have to be complicated.
Okay.
If you're ordering physical product, let's just say Target. I've had a lot of Target will send us a purchase order, and all it has is, the customer, Target, the vendor, me. I want 1,000 of your widgets, and we're paying this price, and we want
Yeah.
it here on this date.
That's it.
That's it.
Okay. That is easier than I expected.
Yeah, it's not complicated. You just want to
Okay.
document it so that everybody knows
Yeah.
what's clear. Purchase order.
Mhm.
And then you can give them a receipt once they pay. You can give them if they want to invoice for that item, so they have it for the records. You can say, here's the invoice for this for this development work of this project or product,
Yeah.
and to pay, I'll start, and I expect they'll deliver it to you in 3 months. So
Okay.
invoice them. So all that is super simple, and we can put that in the network, and people can see how easy it is to do business.
Yeah. We've been talking about my specific situation. Is there a situation where one of these other options would be make more sense, like debt? Because people use it. Smart people use it.
Yeah, smart people use it, and I think that the time that it can be smart is when you are using debt to acquire income that's a lot more than the debt you're taking on, and it's pretty guaranteed.
Yeah.
And there's a big enough buffer or like room for error where if things change a certain amount, you're still okay, you're still covering that debt.
Mhm.
So what are some examples of places where people use debt intelligently? It can be real estate, right? You can
Yeah.
borrow money from any number of sources. You can acquire this asset. We'll use assets in this, not a personal house, like apartment building, or let's just
Nursing
use that
home.
because it has rental income. You can buy that with that money, which could limit how much money you put into it. Maybe you don't have any, maybe you just, kind of putting the deal together. And that allows you to buy an asset that produces more money than the amount of debt that you have to pay, the amount of payments on the debt you have to pay every month.
Okay.
So you could call that leverage. You can leverage the capital from the debt and to buy this larger asset. But I think you only want to do that for assets, not for doodads like boats or cars or
Yeah,
gym equipment.
would agree. Vacations.
Yeah, vacations.
Okay.
So in this case, you could, I don't want to say this, but like someone could get a credit card and then use the credit on the card to buy, I don't even know what you'd buy because this is just a service thing, but buy a computer or a camera for the project and then get the project done, make the money, and then pay off the credit card.
Yeah, that's a functional system. It's just a little more risky,
Yeah.
correct?
If you're a photographer and you need a camera for some reason, and that's the only way you can get it. Okay, maybe, but probably could get a client to prepay so you don't have to use credit.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. So sorry.
Yeah.
So those are the three kind of general ways to fund a project or a new company. I think with the first one, you get kind of the best of the first two. You kind of have an equity partner because they're going to tell you what they want exactly. And they're going to work with you as if they were your equity partner.
Yeah.
And they're going to give you access to things that they would give you as if you were their equity partner.
They will give me a lot.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing that they wouldn't do is help me internal, like they would not support my company servicing other competitors.
Maybe not direct competitors, but unless they
Well,
say
that's who's in the market.
well, that could be a negotiating point.
Yeah.
If they want exclusivity, it would cost them more, for example, or they could have exclusivity for 6 months, not 12 or not 24.
Yeah, I guess that gives me some more negotiating.
Yeah.
numbers.
Yeah, I think it's just a negotiating point, and maybe they won't care about it. Maybe they won't think about it.
Mhm. Okay.
Okay. So 3 ways to fund a company. You get the customer to fund your development or product. You can get equity partner like Shark Tank or debt.
That,
Not smart.
yeah.
Always.
I guess you could throw self-funded in there also,
Yeah.
but that's kind of debt. It's kind of similar.
If you're self-funded, then you're not talking about these other options really.
Then you don't have to think about this. Yeah,
Yeah.
true. Okay. Is that all encompassing?
Yeah, I think that covers the basics. There's ways to be more complicated about all those things, but I think that's a great place to stop. Then we can follow up in a couple weeks when you're at the next stage and see which one you chose.
Yeah.
You have any meetings on the calendar yet?
No, but I think I'm going to set one this week.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, everybody. Thanks for being here, Walker.
Thanks
Good luck with
for-
the next phase of the project. And
Thank you. Thanks
all
for the
you
conversation.
animals, like, subscribe, check out the network. You get inside for lots of cool guys doing cool projects and learning and growing every single day. So see you guys on the inside. Thanks, Walker.
Of course.